Okay, so let we start for our semantic meeting for today. So we have gone through introduction to semantics. Okay, we have the theories of meaning, kinds of meaning, lexical sense relation, and then last meeting we have lexical ambiguity for homonym, homophone, and homograph. And today we will have our second part for lexical ambiguity, for polysemy, collocation, ambiguity, and metonymy. So if you still remember last meeting, it's quite easy for lexical ambiguity for homonym, homophone, homograph, because actually it is the same between Indonesian and English for homonym, homophone, and homograph, because you have learned that when you were in senior high school. But now for deeper material related to lexical ambiguity, we have polysemy, collocation, ambiguity, and metonymy. So let me just move directly to the material for this part. Okay, so we have these four. The first one for polysemy. So wait a minute, let me. Okay. So the first one is polysemy. So what is polysemy? We have the definition here. Polysemy occurs when a word has two or more meanings, then at least vaguely related to each other. So what you have to take a note, about polysemy is that one word, but they have more than one meaning. But the meaning actually is still related to each other. So that's why a word is polysemous when it has two or more meanings. In a monolingual dictionary, it is usually written as a single entry. So if you have a dictionary, sometimes one word have more than one meaning, right? So that word is polysemy. But when it comes to a dictionary, which give you one definition one by one, they will write it more than just one word. So this is a very easy example about for polysemy word. First one, we have diamond. When we talk about diamond, actually diamond has more than one meaning. The most common meaning that maybe come to your mind, diamond, of course you will see, oh, berlian, that's the first meaning. That's a precious stone. But actually when you are playing card, when you are playing card with your friends and your friends say that I have diamond, it doesn't mean they have a precious stone. They don't mean really berlian, but they say a car with the figure of diamond. But when you are watching baseball, and then your friends say that, oh, the diamond is great, it means that the feel of the meaning is the baseball feel, because we call the baseball field is diamond. But if you see these three meaning have relation, even though they are very different. The first one is a stone, the second one is a car, the third one is a field of sport, but actually they have a relation to each other. What is the relation? The shape of the diamond itself, right? If you see the stone, for that you call as diamond, the shape is the same like playing card, the playing card, right? So you have this shape, right, for diamond, and then the baseball field is also with this shape, you call berlian, berlian yang asli kan bentuknya seperti ini. Ada bentuk-bentuk ininya lah gitu, mengkilat-mengkilatnya seperti itu. Tapi kan bentuknya seperti ini. That what we call as the diamond-nya itu kenapa berhubungan. The card, if you see on the card, the diamond also have this shape. And then the baseball field that you call as diamond also have the same shape like this one. So that's why even though they are different in meaning, they are still having a relation to each other. That's for diamond, for polysemy. We also have iron. When I say iron, maybe most of us will think about an instrument for making clothes smooth, setrikaan. But actually, iron is also a silver white metal, besi, kan? And then Iron also have the other meaning, great strength of character, like an Iron Man. So if you think about iron, it will come to your mind, an Iron Man. They have a very different three meanings, right? This is instrument, ya kan, setrikaan, alat. This one is about bahan gitu ya. That's why it is besi, gitu ya, benar-benar besi. Yang satunya setrikaan. Yang satunya, it's showing that you are strong, have a great strength. Actually, these three meaning is different, but they still have a relation to each other. Yeah, between iron, an instrument, and the great strength. The same with head. When I say head, maybe what you have in your mind is, yeah, this is your head. Yeah, but actually head have different meaning. It can be the part of the body which contains eyes, nose, mouth, and etc. Yeah, or it's also a leader. And you say a head of school, a head of the university. It means that the leader of the school. Or we also say head to show about mind or brain. What happened with your head? What happened with your head? It also just saying the inside of the head, not only about the outside of your head. But different meaning here, they still have a relation to each other for the meaning. Yeah, and then the last one we have heart. Okay, heart is actually the one of the meaning is the organs inside your chest. Yeah, jantung. But heart also have, when you are talking to a doctor and you say heart, they will, oh, your heart, jantungnya, berarti jantungnya ada masalah. Oh, dok, ini jantung saya. But when you talk to your boyfriend, when you talk to your girlfriend, and you say, my heart, you hurt my heart, it means that heart here is your feeling. Okay, so that's why it is actually different, a very different meaning, but they related to each other. Or when you are playing card, yeah, you are playing card and you say, oh, I have 3 heart with me. The heart here doesn't mean your feeling, it doesn't mean your organs, but it means the card that you are playing. You just say that heart. Okay, so far you get what I mean for polysemy? Do you understand?
Yes, Miss.
Okay.
Yes, Miss.
So after polysemy, we move on to collocation. Yeah. So if polysemy means that one word who have more than one meaning, but the meaning still related to each other, now we have collocation. Yeah, collocation means that when the two words co-occur or used together frequently and acceptable, they are said to collocate. So to make it easy means that collocation is the word that always together. Ya, bisa dibilang soulmate lah jadi dua kata ini. Yeah, so collocation is the way in which words are used together regularly. It refers to restrictions on how words can be used together. Yeah, strong collocation are word pairings that are expected to come together. There are a lot of collocation in English. There are so many collocation in English. So you just, even when you scroll in your internet, there are a lot more collocation in English. Maksudnya gimana? So I give you, give you one of the example. Okay, when your teacher, we always have this in most of the time, ya kan? Kita the teacher always say, hey guys, pay attention to me. Pay always have a collocation with attention, which means that berikan saya perhatian. You don't say give me your attention. But the word that always collocate with attention itu adalah pay. Yang benarnya. Ya, pay attention. And then we have take a taxi. You don't say naik taksi in English. In bahasa Indonesia, we say naik taksi. But in English, we don't say up taxi. No, we don't say up taxi. We say take a taxi. Kok malah taxi, Miss? Pernah nggak kepikiran? Kok bahasa Inggrisnya naik taksi itu malah take a taxi, Miss? Gitu. Nah, inilah what we call as collocation. Jadi verb ini itu sudah selalu kapelan dengan si noun taxi ini. Yang selalu kapelan sama si taxi ini, dia bilangnya take a taxi. Ya, the same like when you say ask a question. Can I ask you a question? Kan ask sama question itu selalu collocation. Dia selalu bersama-sama ya dan selalu membentuk satu artinya. We don't say, Miss, can I give you a question? Itu adalah kebiasaan kolokasi bahasa Indonesia yang terbawa ke dalam bahasa Inggris. Because in bahasa Indonesia kita kan bilangnya boleh nggak saya memberikan pertanyaan? Ya kan, kita selalu ngomong permisi Miss, saya boleh memberikan pertanyaan. Nah, when your Indonesian collocation itu terbawa-bawa ke dalam bahasa Inggris, makanya most of the people translate-nya, can I give you a question, Miss? Padahal orang native speaker itu tidak pernah bilang, can I give you a question? Itu agak aneh di telinga mereka. Because their collocation, karena kolokasinya mereka, itu bilangnya ask a question. Tapi kalau di bahasa Indonesia kan aneh nggak? Permisi, saya boleh menanyakan pertanyaan? Aneh nggak dengarnya? Aneh kan? Permisi, saya mau menanyakan pertanyaan. Kan aneh di telinganya orang Indonesia. But actually, like if we have, when we say, can I give you a question, itu juga akan terdengar aneh di telinganya native speaker. Because their collocation, the pairing word, most of the time, mereka dengarnya ask a question. That's why there are a lot of collocation in English. The same like we have a lot of collocation in bahasa Indonesia too. Now, when we say, we have another example here, or this part. The word break, ya, the word break itu banyak kolokasinya. One of them you say break the ice. What is the meaning of break the ice? What is the meaning of break the ice in bahasa Indonesia?
Cemburu.
I'm sorry, Fauzul, apa biasanya? Biasanya kalian sering dibilang apa?
Cemburu.
Cemburu. I'm sorry. Cemburu?
Cemburu.
No. Biasanya lagi when you are having like a meeting, biasanya kan sering tuh di tengah-tengah.
Istirahat,
break.
Miss.
Iya, break the ice itu bukan istirahat. Apa break the ice?
Suasana.
Mencairkan suasana. Kan mencairkan suasana. Jadi sebenarnya itu mencairkan. Nah, di bahasa Indonesia kita bilangnya mencairkan suasana, ya kan? Kita nggak bilang menghancurkan es, gitu loh. Jadi sudah ada kolokasinya di dalam in English, we say that break the ice. Kenapa sih kok malah ngancurin es gitu ya? Hubungannya apa gitu. Nah, but this is the in English collocation. It's so different from Indonesian collocation. Okay? You say break someone heart. Ya, in English you say break someone heart. You say break, not destroy someone's heart. Mungkin di bahasa Indonesia you say menghancurkan hati seseorang. Sedangkan kan sebenarnya kalau break itu in bahasa Indonesia mematahkan gitu kan. Mematahkan hati orang. Kan di bahasa Indonesia agak aneh ya. Kamu mematahkan hatiku. No, you say kamu menghancurkan hatiku. But in English, we don't say you destroy my heart, but we say you break my heart. Kenapa sih kalau heart itu selalu berhubungan sama break, ya kan? Kok nggak jadi destroy heart? Kok selalu broken heart, bukan break heart? Karena sudah menjadi kolokasinya. Nah, so that's why why the native speaker, why you sometimes cannot understand a native speaker because they use a collocation, which actually so different from Indonesian collocation. Nah, karena kebiasaan kita orang Indonesia ini akan selalu mentranslatekan bahasa kita ke bahasa orang lain, ya kan? Which is sometimes it's not match with those native speaker language because sometimes they have their own collocation. And just like in English, they have a lot of collocation. Okay, so that's why when people learning English, actually just by listening to the native speaker directly, they have more vocabulary rather than us who learn from textbook. Ya kan, orang-orang yang kalau belajar bahasa Inggrisnya itu langsung sama native speaker, they talk with the native speaker directly, biasanya mereka, they have more vocabulary related to the collocation. Bagus, vocab-vocabnya tuh sudah native sekali. Pernah ngerasa nggak sih, kok saya ini ngomong bahasa Inggris gitu ya, but I don't sound like a native speaker. Saya tuh bisa bahasa Inggris, tapi kok kedengerannya nggak kayak bahasa Inggris gitu loh. Just like a very simple example. What do you say? Saya makan sarapan pagi ini. In English, Zaki. What you have to say? Saya sarapan pagi ini. Saya makan sarapan gitu pagi ini.
Saya makan sarapan.
Ya, maksud itu saya makan nih pagi ini. Saya makan. Ya, saya makan pagi ini sarapan. Saya sarapan pagi ini. In English we say
I have breakfast this morning.
I have breakfast this morning. Nah, itu sering kalau kalian ngajar anak SMP, anak SMA, dia nanya, kok Miss bilangnya, kok Sir bilangnya I have breakfast ya? Kan Miss tuh makan, bukan punya. Berarti belum Miss makan ya, itu sarapannya. Harusnya kan bilangnya I eat breakfast, Miss, gitu. Kok bilangnya malah I have breakfast? Kan kata Miss, kata Sir, arti have itu mempunyai. Jadi saya punya sarapan. Oh, artinya belum Sir makan. So that's the difference between Indonesian and English. Because the collocation for breakfast, ya couple-nya breakfast, lunch, ya kan breakfast, lunch, dinner, dia nggak pakai eat, dia pakainya have. Nah, you, because you know this collocation, kalian karena kalian sudah terbiasa dengan kolokasi ini, kalian akan when I ask you, you directly say I have breakfast. Tapi if I ask the students of junior high school or elementary school, they will say I eat breakfast this morning, Miss. Benar nggak mereka bilang I eat the breakfast this morning? Saya makan, saya sarapan pagi ini, Miss, gitu. In grammatical, that's correct. There is no problem with this subject, verb, and then the complement here. But this doesn't make sense for the collocation. Nah, inilah yang kadang-kadang harus kita tekankan ke anak-anaknya gitu. Orang yang belajar bahasa Inggris dengan textbook, dia akan bilang I eat breakfast. Tapi kalau orang belajar bahasa Inggris secara otodidak, langsung mendengarkan more of the native speaker, they will say I have breakfast. Ya, okay, you get it for collocation?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's.
Miss,
Yeah.
What do you think of collocation and idiom, same or different?
Idioms is part, not all idioms is a collocation. Yeah, but not all idiom is collocation. But give me one example for the idioms that we can check. The most common idiom that you hear.
Break the leg.
Yeah, break the leg. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Break the leg. Okay, leg here, actually one of the collocation for leg here is break. Seperti break ini ya. Salah satu kolokasi itu couple lah gitu ya, untuk mempermudahnya. Salah satu couple si break ini adalah the leg. Ini bisa juga dimasukkan ke dalam collocation karena si break ini selalu berpasangan sama leg kalau mau diartikan sebagai ayo semangat gitu. But it's not always break selalu dengan leg. Tapi si break ini bisa juga kapelan sama the eyes, bisa juga kapelan sama habit. Jadi kolokasinya si break ini itu banyak sekali. If you check on your internet ya or dictionary, satu verb itu temennya banyak sekali. Lihat, ini have aja gitu ya, yang ini aja yang ditemukan di sini saja, have itu like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, berarti ada 21 ya. Most of the idioms itu kolokasi, hampir gitu ya, kebanyakan dari si idioms itu dia sebenarnya kapelan katanya, kolokasi, seperti break sama leg itu selalu kolokasi. Tapi tidak semua kolokasi itu idiom sebenarnya. Ya, seperti kata have a shower bukan idiom, memang maksudnya itu mandi gitu. You get what I mean? Kebanyakan kata-kata di dalam idioms itu memang collocation. Ya, dia sudah kapelan, dia selalu terdengar bersama kata-kata itu. Tapi tidak semua kolokasi itu artinya adalah idiom. Karena kolokasi itu bisa saja sekedar makna yang sebenarnya, bukan kan kalau idioms itu makna yang tidak sebenarnya kan? Okay, because we are not talking about the meaning ya. Kita belum ke arah yang artinya, tapi sekarang nih yang kita bicarain tuh couple-nya. Jadi kata-kata ini selalu bersama-sama. Tuh, jadi membentuk arti dan selalu munculnya itu bersama, pairing. Jadi ini makanya Miss bilang kapelan. Jadi kata-kata yang selalu kapelan munculnya untuk membentuk suatu kata. Nah, mungkin ketika mereka kapelan, maknanya ini bukan makna yang sebenarnya, yaitu maknanya yang idiom tadi. Gitu loh. Tapi yang kapelan ini juga maknanya bisa makna yang sebenarnya, bukan hanya sekedar makna yang tidak sebenarnya seperti di idiom. Oke?
Okay, Miss.
Okay.
I get it.
Okay. Now we're going to ambiguity. Ambiguity is actually the easiest one because it's a word, phrase, or sentence which has more than one meaning. Okay, so most of the time, even we actually talk in ambiguity way. Gitu ya. There are two kinds of ambiguity. Nah, ambiguitas itu, ambigu ini in English we divide in semantics, we divide that into two, lexical ambiguity, ada yang grammatical ambiguity. Ya, ambigu itu aja terbagi menjadi dua. Nah, apa? The first one we have lexical ambiguity. Ya, so what is another word for lexical? Lexical itu apa sih?
Word.
Yes, that's right. Word. Ya, lexical itu bahasa bahasa ilmiahnya dari word. Oke, lexical ambiguity. Jadi katanya yang membuat ambigu. So, lexical ambiguity is the one which is caused by homonym sama polysemy. Jadi si lexical ambiguity ini, ambiguitas kata ini sebenarnya di penyebabnya itu gara-gara homonym ya atau polysemy yang tadi. Because one word have more than one meaning. Ya, atau si polysemy tadi ya yang satu kata lebih dari beberapa arti, atau homonim yang nyebutnya sama, tulisannya sama, tapi artinya berbeda. Just for example, don't stand near the bank. What is the meaning of don't stand near the bank? Apa artinya?
Jangan berdiri di dekat pantai, sungai.
Jangan berdiri di dekat pinggiran sungai. Tapi kalau Miss bilangnya karena sekarang Miss ini lagi ada di Jenderal Sudirman, jangan lagi ada di Ahmad Rifai, terus Miss bilang don't stand near the bank, maksud bank yang Miss bilang di sini apa?
Pinggir jalan.
Bank, ya
bank.
kan? Nah, so that's why it is ambigu. Don't stand near the bank. Misalnya sungainya di pinggir, sungainya sebelah sana, banknya di sebelah sini, yang dia ngomongin ini bank atau sungai ya. Nah, so that's what we call as lexical ambiguity. Penyebabnya itu katanya, the wordnya. Or number two, the table is very interesting. Table-nya ini yang mana? Misal sekarang nih, Miss ngadep meja, lalu ada tabel juga di dalam layar Miss di Microsoft. Bingung nggak? When I say, oh the table is very interesting. Maksudnya table-nya ini meja atau tabel yang ada di dalam Microsoft Word ini ya gitu. So that's what we call as lexical ambiguity. Penyebabnya tadi homonim gitu ya atau polysemy tadi. Or nih, fine if you park your car here. Ini artinya apa? Number 3.
Bisa denda, bisa nggak apa-apa.
Iya. Jadi ini benar-benar bingung ya. Ketika kalian baru parkir nih, terus orang bilang, si polisinya bilang, fine if you park your car here. Bingung nggak kalian? Ini boleh atau justru dapat sanksi ya? Justru dapat tiket denda gitu ya? Ini boleh atau enggak ya? Si polisinya bilang fine if you park your car here. Justru saya nanti didenda atau oke, kamu boleh parkir. Ini benar-benar bingung kan? Jadi ini benar-benar antara positif sama negatif. So that's what we call as lexical ambiguity. But when you talk about grammatical ambiguity, the cause is because grammatical constructions, not about the word. Yeah, but the word is clear. But because of the grammatical construction, ya susunan gramaticalnya, it can have more than one meaning that make you ambigu. For example, the lamb is too hot to eat. Actually, this sentence have two meaning. The first meaning you can say, oh, the lamb is so hot that it can't eat anything. Ya kan, the lamb is too hot to eat. Jadi yang diomongin di sini, ya si lambnya ini, si dombanya ini, itu lagi kepanasan. Jadi dia nggak bisa makan sama sekali. Atau makna yang kedua, mungkin kebanyakan dari kita berpikirnya, oh si dombanya ini, si domba yang sudah dimasak ini, itu lagi panas. Jadi orang-orang tuh nggak bisa makannya. Beda kan? Yang satu orang makan dombanya, yang satu maknanya dombanya lagi makan gitu loh. Dombanya yang makan. Kalau yang kedua bisa juga artinya orang yang makan si dombanya ini tadi. Okay, you get what it means? Even actually the meaning is clear, the sentence is clear, jelas. The lamb is too hot to eat. Nggak ada maknanya double. Gitu ya, nggak ada makna kata yang double di sini. Cuman karena susunan kata the lamb is too hot to eat, itu maknanya more than one. Or number 2, she cannot bear children. She cannot bear children, itu maksudnya bisa dua. She cannot bear children because they are noisy, atau bisa juga she cannot bear children because she is sterile. Ya, satunya dia nggak tahan sama anak-anak, misalnya karena mereka tuh ribut. Atau sebenarnya dia tidak bisa mengandung anak. Ya, bear also means mengandung, karena dia steril, lagi steril gitu, lagi nggak bisa mengandung. Okay, so this is what the difference between lexical ambiguity and grammatical ambiguity. Yeah. Okay, so let me move to metonymy. So metonymy is the last one, and it's also not so difficult because metonymy is a word or phrase used with the meaning based on a certain association or attribute. It is a word used in a place of another word or expression to convey the same meaning. Ini kalau yang suka kode-kodean itu tahu, oh merah gitu. Maksudnya merah di sini itu bukan ngomongin warna merah, bisa jadi kalian ngodein orang lain. Jadi ketika kalian mengubah sesuatu dengan kode kalian sendiri, itu artinya kalian sedang menggunakan metonymy. So for example, when you want to talk a woman with thick spectacles, yang makanya kita manggilnya nyonya kacamata. Or you want to say, even when you talk about the lecture, Bapak Belaga gitu. Padahal sebenarnya Bapak Galak gitu. Nah, padahal itu maksudnya menunjukkan ke seseorang kan gitu. Nah, so that's what we call as metonymy. Or when you say crown, crown itu when most of the native speaker when they say crown itu juga associate-nya sama monarchy. RI1, orang ini cuma orang Indonesia yang punya metonymy ini. When they say RI1, ya, itu pasti ngomongin President of Republic of Indonesia. Nah, ini metonyminya orang Indonesia. Or metonyminya orang Amerika, when they say White House, itu langsung terasosiasi gitu ya, termetonyminya ke US government. Padahal kalau misalnya orang di Indonesia and they say White House, oh rumahnya cat hijau ya gitu. Cat putih ya gitu. But when it comes to native speaker, when they say White House, it is actually talking about US government. Okay? So that's why metonymy is easy because most of you use your own metonymy when you are talking to people. Secara tidak sadar gitu ya, ketika kalian kode-kodean nyebut orang, jangan nyebut asli namanya, atau kalian punya panggilan khusus untuk seseorang itu. Nah, itu artinya kalian menggunakan kata metonymy. Ya, you make a word or phrase used with the meaning yang based on a certain association or attribute. Okay? Ini aja misalnya orang dosen-dosen IGM gitu ya, nanya aja, jadi rapatnya di mana? Sudirman. Jadi Sudirman, padahal kalau dipikir-pikir Sudirman nama orang, kok rapat di Sudirman gitu. Kalau Sudirman apa Burlian? Most of the time kalau orang IGM pasti bilang gitu, acaranya di Sudirman apa Burlian? Oh di Burlian. Oh di Sudirman. Padahal itu nggak ada hubungannya kan? Malah kok ngomongin Sudirman sama Burlian, because we have our metonymy. Oh, Sudirman means the building of university, and Burlian is the building for high school. Okay, is it clear for this four? Polysemy, and then collocation, ambiguity, and the last one we have metonymy. Question? No? Okay, but before I take the question, we have exercise that you can answer this on your P class again. Yeah, you can submit the answer. I write 4 questions here that's actually related to each of the explanation. The first one, write the meaning of underlined polysemy words below. So this word that in bold, yeah, and underline it is a polysemic word like round. You have to write what is the meaning. Write the meaning. In English and also Indonesia. So the first one, let's go into the university and have a look round. Now, what is the meaning of round here? Maksud round di sini apa? Tulis bahasa Indonesianya And then find on dictionary on Oxford the meaning in English. Jadi artinya secara panjang di dalam bahasa Inggris, the definition, ya, the definition in English also you have to write it. And then the second one, the earth turns round once in 24 hours. Now, what is the meaning of round here? Of course, this first round and the second round is different. Even meskipun dua-duanya sebenarnya ada hubungannya satu sama lain. Round yang ini sama round ini agak-agak mirip kan, tapi they have different meaning. Okay, you have to write in bahasa Indonesia and then write the definition in English based on the dictionary, based on Oxford. Yeah, that's for number 1. And then for number 2, write words which can collocate with the following words. Nah, ini ada kata a research. Biasanya kata apa yang biasanya terkolokasi yang kapelan dengan kata a research? Voice, acceptable. Nah, run apa? Gitu ya. And then dull, smell. Okay, so which part of the which word actually have a collocate with this one? Manual apa yang biasanya kalian dengar nih? Manual bla 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 gitu. Everyone can be different ya. Setiap orang juga bisa masuk banyak gitu karena run itu aja bisa with bla bla bla, bisa juga dengan bla bla bla, bla bla bla. Gitu ya. Needle, leg, ya, furniture. So you have some of the word here. And then number 3, analyze the meanings of the following ambiguous sentence. Yeah, analyze the meaning of the following ambiguous sentence. The first one, the employee tells that the organ, okay, sorry, this is organ is ready on the room. Nah, ini maknanya itu bisa lebih dari satu. Tulis makna yang pertamanya apa, tulis makna yang keduanya apa. Coba, ini aja ngomongin ini apa. Jadi si pegawai ini memberitahu bahwa organnya sudah tersedia, sudah siap di ruangan. Berarti ini bisa masuk ke dalam hospital situation, ya kan? Tapi another meaning, organ itu bisa juga masuk ke dalam, bisa jadi music class situation, right? So they have 2 meaning. Nah, you have to explain what is the first meaning, what is the second meaning. Makna pertamanya apa, makna keduanya apa. Even if you think that you have more than 2 meaning, boleh. Bisa jadi makna ketiga kalian menanggapi, bisa jadi makna ketiga ini apa gitu. Ini sebenarnya yang lexical ya. Ada juga yang beberapa yang grammatical. Okay, so analyze the ambiguous sentence. Write the meaning of every sentence. And then 4, what the metonymy words below refers to. Ya, jadi si metonymy ini, ya, kata-kata ini sebenarnya merujuk kepada apa? Ini aja mudah nih. I need to look up a word. Can I borrow your Oxford? Maksud Oxford di sini apakah university, apakah dictionary, apakah apa gitu loh. Jadi based on the sentence, this Oxford itu metoniminya ya adalah kode gitu ya. Jadi kalau mau ingat-ingat metonimi itu kode lah gitu ya. Kode buat kata apa. Okay? Do you understand how to answer the question? Yeah, so you have 4 questions here. And as usual, please write it on handwriting. Your handwriting, take a photo and then send the photo in PDF. Gini aja, pakai cam scanner aja ya. By using the cam scanner, you take the photo and then it become PDF. And then upload the PDF to our V-Class. Okay?
Okay, Miss.
Okay, so far, any question?